Have you ever set a goal, got super excited about it, and then just watched that motivation completely fizzle out? Like you sit down to plan your month or your week or even your finances, and suddenly you feel entirely paralyzed? Well, if that sounds familiar, you are absolutely not alone. We have literally all been there, staring at a blank piece of paper, wondering why we can't just, get our act together.
So today in this explainer, we're tackling this exact obstacle head-on. We're looking at a highly specific time management tool straight out of the 12 Steps to a Good Life methodology. It's called the brain dump, and it's all about clearing out the chaos before you even attempt to plan.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's how we're going to break it down. First up, the overwhelmed mind. Then we'll look at the monthly brain dump, followed by setting your monthly goals, building a better budget, and finally, turning chaos into clarity.
Right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the overwhelmed mind.
Before we can even think about fixing our plans, we have to take a really honest look at the state of our mental workspace. Because honestly, you cannot build a solid house on a chaotic foundation. Think about all these floating thoughts you carry around. Birthdays, errands, upcoming travel plans, shopping needs, looming work deadlines, random anxieties. I mean, it really stacks up, doesn't it? This is the sheer volume of mental clutter competing for your attention every single second. And these unorganized thoughts, they are exactly what makes life feel completely unmanageable. When your brain is constantly trying to juggle all these loose threads, you basically have zero processing power left for actual, deep focus or planning.
Actually, a great way to think about this mental burden is to picture an 800-pound gorilla. Your conscious mind is literally trying to ride on its shoulders, with the gorilla representing your massive unconscious mind. This is exactly why we fail at planning. We try to set these ambitious goals and make tight budgets, while our conscious mind is weighed down by this heavy hidden burden. You can make all the commitments you want, but really, nothing changes until that 800-pound gorilla says so.
Which brings us right to Section 2, the monthly brain dump.
So, how do we actually solve this gorilla problem? Well, there's a critical step that absolutely must happen before you formulate any monthly goals and way before any budgets are created. The brain dump is a highly specific time management tool where you literally grab a pen and paper to completely empty your mind of all those floating thoughts and mental clutter. You can kind of think of this as step 0 of any new month. You can't organize your mental closet while you're still wearing all the clothes. You have to take everything out first.
So how do we actually do it? The steps are beautifully simple, very physical, and incredibly effective. Step 1, grab a pen and paper. Step 2, jot down literally everything on your mind. Just get it out of your head and onto the physical page. And step 3, use tools like mind maps to visually organize those thoughts. You see, the physical act of moving thoughts from your head to the paper is what actually clears your workspace. Only then can you finally focus on organizing your real priorities.
And this brilliantly illustrates a great point from MMA fighter Melissa Crawdon, who says no problem can be solved by the same consciousness that created it. You absolutely have to step outside your cluttered mind to find real clarity and solutions. You got to get the problems out onto paper so you can look at them objectively.
Moving smoothly right into Section 3, setting your monthly goals.
Okay, so now that our mental workspace is totally cleared out by the brain dump, you actually have the mental bandwidth to think about what you want to achieve. Let's compare a vague, negative goal like quit smoking to a positive one like live healthy. The source text points out something super important here. Goals are just way more effective when they direct you toward a positive value rather than just trying to avoid a negative one. Think about it. If your goal is quit smoking, you're literally just reminding yourself about cigarettes all day long. But if it's live healthy, you're actively focusing on positive, forward-moving habits.
To build on that, the source text gives us the SMARTER acronym checklist: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely, and evaluatable. Now, the absolute most important one here is relevant. Your goals absolutely must align with your personal core values. If you're chasing a goal just because society or, maybe your mother-in-law told you it's what you should be doing, you're setting yourself up for wasted time and serious heartbreak.
Now, let's talk about how this translates into daily execution. To actually achieve these smarter goals, you have to keep your daily mini habits stupidly small. And I mean ridiculously small. Why? Because we have to reduce the need for active willpower. Tiny tasks, like doing exactly one push-up or washing literally one single dish, fly completely under the radar of what's called our internal panic monster and instant gratification monkey. They don't trigger that paralyzing fear or procrastination. And the best part is, once you start, action inspires effort, and you'll almost definitely do more.
All right, let's pivot to Section 4, Building a Better Budget.
So, we're transitioning over to the practical financial side of things. But before we get into the weeds with numbers, I want you to remember this really stark reality check. Straight from the source text, all financial problems come from spending more than you make. It's tough love, but it is the foundational truth of budgeting. You simply cannot out-earn terrible spending habits.
Now, what's really interesting about managing this cash flow is the 50-30-20 rule. It is a fantastic starting point. Basically, you allocate 50% of your after-tax income to your absolute needs, 30% to your wants, and 20% to savings or debt repayment. Having this clean visual breakdown just completely demystifies the whole process and gives you a really concrete target to aim for every single month.
But here's the deeper narrative, right? A budget isn't just some boring restriction. It's actually a powerful tool of self-discovery. Your budget proves whether you're actually living by the values you claim to hold. Like, you might say family is your top priority. But if your budget shows you spending all your discretionary income on status symbols, well, the numbers don't lie. A proper budget aligns your spending with what actually matters to you.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Turning Chaos into Clarity. Let's look back at the whole chronological arc we've built here. Step 0, the brain dump. Step 1, smarter goals. And Step 2, the 50-30-20 budget. The source material is crystal clear on this. Skipping that initial mental sweep, Step 0, dooms the rest of your month. If you try to jump straight to setting goals or making a budget without grabbing that pen and paper to clear out the 800-pound gorilla of floating thoughts first, well, the chaos is just going to pull you right back down.
So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. If you don't clear your mind today, whose goals will you end up chasing tomorrow? You see, when our minds are cluttered, we just naturally default to the expectations of society, our peers, or our own fears. So grab a pen, grab some paper, do your brain dump, and reclaim control of your priorities. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer today, and I'll catch you in the next one.